It's your bandito Lowski coming at you with a very special video. Today we take a look at Sticky Icky Thicky Nicky with the Blicky, the man who needs no introduction, but for the unfortunately uninitiated, he's the beloved jiu-jitsu love child of John Danaher, Craig Jones, a pack of Zyns, and a whole lot of autism. But I digress. Today we're going to talk ankle locks and a bit of strategy. Let's start from the top. Nicky shoots for the low single. He misses JT's far leg. As JT sprawls, Nicky drives his head between JT's legs and wraps an overhook. Next, he's going to take his right leg, stepping up over JT's ankle, and then securing that with a triangle, successfully trapping both legs. At this point, it's safe to say JT's thinking, "The fuck is this?" What we're looking at here is a dog bar. For those of you unfamiliar, the dog bar is a half-guard knee bar variation, Bernardo Faria making a career out of vigorously humping men's knees into submission. Nicky starts by posturing up, gaining hip height, before collecting JT's knee line and stomping on his ankle for braking pressure. Remaining contracted, he turns belly down for the finish. Now, unfortunately for Nicky, JT is immune to all knee bars. This is after sacrificing his ACL, PCL, MCL, and DSLs to the Meow Brothers in a Santeria ritual. Naturally, JT slips his knee line and does what any smart grappler would do in this situation, which is attempt to free his secondary leg. And when that doesn't work, he does the next thing a smart grappler would do in this situation, which is attack one of Nicky's legs. So we can see he grabs Nicky's ankle from this backside position. He does a leg curl here, turning into a honey hole position, but this is where things get a little bit different. Let's take a look at his left foot here. See, it's tucked in as opposed to a triangle. This allows him to pop up to his knee right here. As JT starts to gain hip height is where Nicky starts to gain an advantage. We can see Nicky get his butterfly in for the honey stick situation. At this point, he has an X. Now, really important to see this overhook he has over JT's leg. This is going to play a very pivotal role in how this ends up panning out. We can see JT base. For balance, he has control over one of Nicky's hands. Now, we can see Nicky very much trying to get those legs crossed. JT still has a lot of control here, but it's that overhook that really prevents JT from getting that near side underhook, as well as controlling JT's balance from left to right. Right now, JT's focusing on trying to keep most of his weight on top of Nicky's wrist. He wants to keep his weight on that left side, but Nicky's able to pull him over to his hip with that overhook control and grab an ankle. JT tries to stay on top with this far side underhook, but Nicky makes a very smart decision by rolling over his left shoulder and forcing JT to base, solidifying the seated leg lock connection. To finish a shotgun ankle lock, we need to establish a proper grip. See, the key detail in this grip here is to make sure the opponent's heel is actually on a rib cage. This prevents the opponent from flexing their foot, and you can actually test whether or not you have a proper grip by seeing if the opponent can put their foot on the mat. Now let's talk about the position. Typically, the honey stick is used as a honey hole counter to pass that leg over to the inside and finish a heel hook. Not what you expect as the perfect ankle lock position, because typically with an ankle lock, we have ourselves in a position where we push ourselves away in order to establish that grip. The next part of the shotgun grip that's very important is the square chest. Now, really important to make sure that we use both sides of the upper body and we essentially lock the upper body together in order to hold that foot in place. Just like how a boxer's slip loads their body to shift that weight into a powerful punch, we need to be able to do the same thing with our ankle locks. Looking at Scezczinski, you'll often see him push off of his opponent's hips in order to get distance on that grip, but then what you'll also see him do is you'll see him contract his body and move his hips closer to his opponent. This is to load his hips, giving him room and space to apply braking pressure to the foot. What was really genius about Nicky's roll over his shoulder is that Nicky was actually able to contract his body really shortly after establishing that shotgun grip, giving himself plenty of room to bridge into JT's foot. In my video on Elizabeth Clay, where we talk about the criteria for finishing a heel hook, we talk about hip control. Now, hip control in a heel hook serves to keep a grappler from elevating their hips, thus alleviating the pressure. This works similarly for an ankle lock, though in an ankle lock, this also makes sure that the grappler has something to push off of. You can see Nicky demonstrating excellent hip control as JT tries to lift Nicky's ankles up, and then he transitions to a triangle right over JT's thigh. This does not provide sufficient hip control currently because there's still space over JT's hip. Then when he makes the adjustment right over the hip, this is where we see the tap. In terms of strategy, when we want to snipe our opponent, just like Nicky sniped JT, we need a few different things. The first thing is we need to establish the initiative. We need to attack first. The next is we need deception. We need to make sure that we try to confuse or deceive our opponent. We want to catch them by surprise. The third thing is a checkpoint. We want to get to a position where we can hold our ground and our opponent cannot push us backwards. Lastly, we need a finishing dilemma. When we attack our submission, we want to make sure that we have a secondary attack prepared for our opponent's reaction to our submission. This puts them in a position where they have to very quickly react to two different opposing forces. This can be a submission and a positional threat, or it can be two different submissions. Either way, this increases the likelihood of your finish rate and makes even the most unsubmittable opponents human. As always, thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Appreciate all you guys greatly this year. Peace.